So I will repeat that my name is Zoi Konstantinou and I come from the University of Porto. I represent Eklipse, which is a European project aiming to build a mechanism for science policy interface regarding biodiversity and ecosystem services in the European Union, and we had the initiative to create a series for capacity building events, which resulted to this wonderful webinar that we had today. Eklipse is an EU-funded project that started in February of 2016 and will last until the January of 2020. The project aims to establish a robust and flexible long-term mechanism to provide knowledge for policy support regarding biodiversity and ecosystem services. It aims to communicate and engage with a wide set of knowledge holders in its work to ensure tailor-made results to knowledge requesters and society more broadly. It is a science-driven initiative, meaning that the process is rooted in the participation of experts who believe that scientific knowledge can and should be used to assist better policy development. Compared to other similar approaches, like for instance, the Intergovernmental Panel for Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, Eklipse has no direct governmental involvement, while the scale of the questions answered is strictly this of the European Union. Eklipse is a little bit of an unusual project. Our consortium is rather small and plays a facilitating role rather than doing the actual work. We aim to create the appropriate conditions in order to mobilize the available expertise in a manner transparent and efficient, in order to support policy which will contribute in the better conservation of biodiversity and the better understanding of the importance of ecosystem services in our daily lives. This is why half of the project's budget is invested in activities that involve the interested community, by bringing together expert groups, organizing foresight events, and building capacity building in issues relevant to Eklipse cause. The project has 5 main objectives. The first one is to set up a light and transparent governance model for a self-sustained support mechanism for evidence-based policy on biodiversity and ecosystem services in the European Union, which is also the core of the project. Additionally, we want to coordinate initiative and innovative and transparent approaches for science policy and societal actors to jointly provide evidence leading to better informed decision making. For this reason, we want to bring scientists and policymakers and stakeholders together through our network that we call a network of networks. We also want to promote the effective engagement of all society, research and policy actors in multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary consultations to jointly identify research priorities and emerging issues related to biodiversity and ecosystem services. This is regarding a foresight role that we like to play in Eklipse. We also like to encourage societal debate and engagement with relevant policy and research on biodiversity and ecosystem services. Finally, we like to engage better with those networks in the European Union whose knowledge has a key potential to impact on biodiversity and ecosystem services. All of Eklipse activities are focused around answering policy questions that we call requests coming from key policy makers and stakeholders in a European Union level. This means that from time to time, Eklipse publishes a call distributed around Europe asking stakeholders and policymakers to come forward requesting assistance in identifying the current knowledge regarding an issue related to biodiversity and ecosystem services. Eklipse coordination bodies, comprised by experts in the field in a European and international level, are selecting those requests that present the highest political interest and are most relevant at the moment in the European Union to go further into the scoping phase. During that phase, we go through and try to identify, in a very initial level, the available knowledge on the subject. In this process, the help of the interested community is vital. This is why Eklipse publishes a call for knowledge, in which we ask knowledge holders from around Europe to come forward with relevant information. This information can be peer-reviewed literature, grey literature, local or regional studies, or any other form of knowledge which is relevant to the selected question that we would like to answer, the selected request. We do that to make a first assessment of the available knowledge, but also to ensure that what we are aiming to do is not already done. After the initial assessment of knowledge and after discussing with the requester, with the key policymaker that we're discussing with, on the appropriate framing of the question to cover, to make it such as to cover European scale and to make it feasible to answer in a specific time frame, as well as to take into account other considerations. We try to create an expert working group which will work on this request independently. Eklipse doesn't have to do anything with the work of this expert. Eklipse publishes a call for experts, aiming to people which have specific expertise in the thematic area of the request. The previously mentioned coordination bodies choose which experts are going to formulate this group, which will work together in full independence in order to assess in detail the available knowledge and provide an answer output to the requester and the interested community. The results of the work of the expert group is in open peer review to safeguard the quality and to ensure full transparency in all Eklipse processes. This is more or less what this complicated diagram is trying to explain. This process, the Eklipse process, is similarly adjusted in all Eklipse activities, from foresight activities to capacity building events and selection of participants in other kind of actions. Our aim is to keep every aspect of the process as open, as inclusive and as transparent as possible, and to safeguard its continuity in time. Eklipse Science Policy Interface is based in knowledge synthesis from the side of science to accommodate policy needs. To do this, Eklipse has invested in a group of experts with expertise exactly in knowledge synthesis. This methods expert group, as we call them, identified and evaluated 21 knowledge synthesis methods regarding their cost, the time that is required to implement them, the repeatability, the level of transparency that they provide, the risk of bias, the scale regarding the question that is referred any time, the capacity for stakeholder participation, their demand on data, the types of knowledge that is synthesized in this method, the type of outputs, as well as the type of expertise required in order to implement it. With these methods, it is upon these methods where Eklipse is basing its robust request answering process. In its request answering circle, one of these methods is used in order to provide output. But what kind of requests are we working with in Eklipse? At the moment, we have a number of ongoing requests that are in different fields. Eklipse is covering everything that is connected to biodiversity and ecosystem services and has a relevance for European policy. Some of our active requests at the moment have to do with agriculture and the common agricultural policy, and for instance, understanding the farmers' uptakes and the measures that are most promising to deliver on supporting biodiversity and ecosystem services in the next round of the common agricultural policy. Others are related with health issues and have to do with the role that blue and green infrastructure can play in mental health and well-being of people. We have a request that is related to small and medium-sized enterprises in the food and drinking sector of Europe and how they can use ecosystem services and their daily in order to enhance biodiversity with their activity. And we have also requests that are focusing on foresight in areas that the research is not yet fully completed, and requests that are focusing on society mainly, and how ecosystem services and other aspects of biodiversity can be connected directly to society. We also have a number of very interesting policy requests in the scoping phase. You can find all of the information in the Eklipse mechanism website. The success of Eklipse and its resulting mechanism is in everyone's hands. It's in the hands of the requester from the policy and society who need to know what knowledge is out there to answer the policy or societal decision needs. It is in the hands of the knowledge holders, either they be scientists or citizens, who want their knowledge to be useful for decision making. And finally, it is in the hands of the networks of people working on biodiversity and ecosystem services who can ensure a good dissemination of the knowledge, recommendations, and decisions. Eklipse coordinates innovative and transparent approaches for science, policy, and societal actors to jointly provide the best available evidence, leading to better informed decision making. You can find all the news and information regarding Eklipse on our website. Additionally, you can be part of Eklipse by signing up to the Eklipse forum, through which you can participate in all discussion regarding our running requests, while you can also receive news for all our calls regarding requests, but also capacity building events like this one's today. Here I would like to thank this webinar was the part of Eklipse effort to support capacity building regarding biodiversity and ecosystem services in the EU. On behalf of the Eklipse facilitation team, I would like to thank our colleagues from the CP3 project for putting forward the idea of this webinar and being so enthusiastic for its organization, as well as I would like to give special thanks to Caroline Wills-Wright from CEH in Scotland for her invaluable help with the GoToWebinar software and with all her support. We hope that you enjoyed the webinar as much as we did. And as I said in the beginning, during the following days, we will be sending you all the questions that, as I'm informed, you have some for me as well, that the participants posted anonymously, and we will answer them comprehensively, besides the fact that the panelists have already answered some of them live. Additionally, we will send you a short feedback form, which will help us to improve our future efforts in capacity building, and I thank you in advance for taking the time to answer it. Thank you again for your participation and for your attention.